smuggling charges. Oh, you're kidding. That's a weird coincidence. It's just another strange coincidence, like the tattoos that the wife covers up, like the 2 orders of protections that she got against him, saying that he beat and ripped her clothes off and gave her black eyes. Weird. Strange. And remember, they called the FBI on this. The FBI said, let him go. No. Are they white supremacists? Oh, no, they're not. Okay, that's okay. Oh, they're just MS-13. Kilmar, the deported El Salvadorian, was stopped by police in an SUV owned by a man who himself was deported after pleading guilty to smuggling illegal aliens, according to court documents that Just the News got. New details follow other reporting saying the Biden administration had this dude tagged as a suspect alien who's possibly involved in human trafficking after a traffic stop in Tennessee. Trump administration says that Abrego was a member of MS-13, family and others deny the evidence, but there's a growing body of evidence saying, yeah, there's a lot more to this dude. When Abrego was stopped in 2022 by the Tennessee State Trooper, Homeland created a record of the encounter. The El Salvadorian was driving a black 2001 Chevrolet Suburban and said that was transporting his passengers to Maryland from Texas for construction work. But the trooper found no luggage in the SUV at all. Yeah, not real Texas.
This is good.
Abrego told the state trooper the owner was his boss. Yeah, probably true. No, he's my boss. It's his car. However, that SUV was flagged separately by Homeland in the field office as belonging to a target they suspected of human trafficking. This case gets stranger and stranger.
Nice little trim,
So
ball tape,
so they
left a little bit on top.
Oh, yeah. Just let them all go. The vehicle is used by HSI Baltimore to target human smuggling. The vehicle makes trips to southern border to pick up non-citizens, the record reads. They have the vehicle tag. The memo says Baltimore HSI case agent should be notified if the vehicle is encountered. So they call Baltimore. Homeland Security notifies them. What the heck? Jose Ramon, who Abrego claimed he was working for, had previously been convicted of smuggling illegal aliens. He got busted. The lieutenant comes up. In 2022, Hernandez, himself an illegal alien, pleaded guilty to 18 months in prison for smuggling fellow illegal aliens after he was stopped by law enforcement in Mississippi. They did something. El Salvador and Honduras. He was trafficking people. Homeland Security records indicate that his deport order was reinstated in March 21, as his 18-month sentence was carried out. Another official confirmed to Just the News that the Hernandez Reyes, the other trafficker, mentioned in both cases, referred to the same individual. Unclear what relationship Kilmar has with the dude, though he told the Tennessee trooper.
Wow, that dude just fucking cut right in front of the fucking people flying down the fast lanes. It's a little bit too rough. It is rough over there.
Between the traffic stops are striking.
Thank you, sir.
Investigators discovered that 9 of the men, 8 including Hernandez,
Bao is free.
Present in the United States. Okay, so Boss got
definitely a free man.
Same type of drive as Kilmar. 3 of the passengers, citizens of Mexico, El Salvador, and Honduras.
Oh, super busy. I just have to run to Green Springs from up here in Michigan to pretty much drop off a laptop.
Officers determined that Alvarez and Hernandez were transporting illegal aliens.
Then head home.
They stopped doing the same thing, driving erratically and speeding.
But we're on the clock, so we're good.
The state trooper was found to be driving an SUV full of people. Expired driver's license, no luggage. FBI says, they're good, let them go. Hernandez in August pleaded guilty to smuggling illegal aliens 18 months, unlike their other case. And 3 weeks later, Homeland updated its records to urge all personnel. Wait a minute. Unlike the Hernandez case, the trooper in the case did not arrest Abrego. But Homeland picked up on the traffic stop through its computer-aided dispatch. Agents reviewed the target and determined Abrego was a suspect alien and referred his matter for review to passport control, the records show. 3 weeks later,
some nice trailers on there.
Homeland updated these records to urge all personnel.
They're bouncy, though. I can see why this guy. Man, that is an unsafe load. Straps on the axle.
Used when someone suspected of wrongdoing is encountered at a port of entry or by.
Yeah, Bao's free. They let him go just a little bit around noon.
He was previously arrested outside the Maryland.
He's got a court date, though.
hanging out with other gangbangers, according to police records. They show that the Prince George County gang unit said he was MS-13. So the story just gets worse and worse. And his boss was a human smuggler, top for human smuggling. They knew the vehicle. The vehicle's traveling back and forth. The FBI gets wind of it. They just let it go because that's what they love. Now, the Tennessee Star has been digging on this. So shout out, if I forgot to say it, to Tom Pappard on this. Shout out to Tom Pappard who did the reporting on this. Shout out to
it was kind of a trash piece.
And shout out to Shipwrecked Crew who was sending me some DMs and mixing it up back and forth on this topic. The input.
I mean, they didn't really call him guilty of anything. They just said that after being repeatedly told to move, he was leaving.
Various tapes that are out there on what's happening here, but what we all
but he was just getting clarification from the other trooper.
The I-589 and the other forms should be made available. It is a clear withholding of removal to El Salvador. We want to see the documents. Tom Pappard and Tennessee Star are trying to get the records, and the state agency in Tennessee is slow walking the records for that traffic stop. They don't want you to see what happened there. Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security is slow walking 2 open records requests which seek documents. They're playing dumb. It's like Fannie or something. The department oversees state law enforcement agencies, and the Tennessee Star filed a request on April 17th. This is kind of funny. Like, what? Did you file something? Oh, no. The request especially sought copies of dispatch reports, citations, field notes, as well as the still images they were instructed to capture, which shows the driver and the passengers. Right? A lot more evidence can come out on this. It also sought video from the dashboard and the body-worn cameras at the scene. Now, Leahy and the Tennessee Star filed a second
for sure.
on April 18th, after a spokesman confirmed key details in the Tennessee, which specifically sought copies of the CAD records and the reports and the dispatch reports, which may include new details about him, his 8 passengers, and the federal agencies that were all involved in the stop. Now, they told the Star that the Biden-era FBI had jurisdiction over the investigation, and that the officers released Abrego and his associates at the request of the FBI, despite the alleged gang member being suspected of human trafficking during the stop. It also has been reported that Homeland communicated with THP before Abrego was released. They all had eyes on this thing. Let it happen. While the Tennessee Public Records Act mandates that agencies respond to requests within 7 business days, it specifically requires a proper response. After the Star contacted them, the lawyer called Casey of the legal division on Monday. They called, which is great. So I called for a request. I said, hey, Casey Goggin, you're a lawyer? You're familiar with TCA 107503822B, aren't you? Goggin said, what? What are you talking about? Casey Goggin seemed to indicate she's not aware of either public records request at all. What are you talking about? Well, we sent him over. Can you please answer us? Instead, for the second time, the April 16th press inquiry sent by the Star was conflated with a public record request, despite the original inquiry only seeking confirmation of the stop. Now, potentially indicating that Goggin was unaware of either open record request, the lawyer says, so please let me know, are you making a press inquiry or a record request? If it's the latter, you've received the instructions on how to proceed forward. He's like, for the love of God, Casey, for the 5th time, it's a press inquiry. The Star then provided Goggin with an open records division with 2 copies of the 2 requests. They sent these before twice once, as well as the dates they were sent, prompting the attorney to reveal she had not begun to gather some of the material sought under the law. Goggin replied on Monday that the request, Mike, the request will be handled as efficiently and economically as is reasonably possible. What a lawyer response. We're going to handle these as efficiently and economically as is reasonably possible. It's like, oh gosh. I can tell you, she wrote, however, that Mr. Leahy's request for video footage cannot be produced by end of hours, business hours today. The attorney then stated the video requested by the Tennessee Star will likely take longer for the agency to compile and says you have to pay a fee. Goggin said, I have been tending to other pressing matters, and requests received prior to yours, I have not had a moment to evaluate that cost estimate. I love how he's publishing all the documents, all the emails. You better get on it, lady, because you're getting reported on right now. Now, the responses provided by Goggin were sent days after he cited to the Star an explanation about why he was stopped. And he's admitting that he's in the country illegally, that the holding of removal order was so-called supposedly for El Salvador, but nobody showed us the documents on that. And it just continues to get worse. So the cover-up continues. Now, meanwhile, the Democrats are responding to a lot of this, and several of them have made this their cause du jour of the day. And Babylon Bee is reporting that they've decided to add in some letters to their new campaign montages. It's now LGBTQMS13, in addition to the DMS13, the DMS13 gang. So the LGBTQMS13 gang is what the Babylon Bee is reporting. They got added to the LGBTQ acronym. We talked about this morning on the members only stream. There was that one lawsuit of the trans.
Yeah, those days are numbered, though,
XD. Or she or they or whomever. But trans de Aragua was coming across. That's why the ACLU was representing them so aggressively. So that's what the Babylon Bee is reporting now. Meanwhile, Caroline Leavitt was out today talking about, yesterday rather, about what we're going to do with all of the illegals in the country. Here's Caroline.
Roughly how many illegal immigrants and aliens do we have in our country, and how many does the administration plan on deporting?
Well, you'd have to ask the Department of Homeland Security for a specific number, but we suspect it's definitely in the millions, perhaps upwards of 20 million people that were allowed into the country illegally by the previous administration. And the president and his team are focused on deporting as many as we possibly can. And they are moving as quickly as possible. The president's team has made it clear we need more funding from Congress to do more. We need more ICE agents out on the ground doing this very important work. And we also need rogue district court judges to stop acting as judicial activists, trying to block the administration from deporting illegal criminals from our nation's interior. The American public elected the president to do this, and he's following through with that promise.
Nice from Caroline Leavitt.
Oh,
and this morning,
I saw that
from Tom Homan, who made his way out to explain more on
from Illinois.
Case. Here's what Tom Homan had to say when he made his way to
Mr. Homan, context with News Nation. Can you give us an update on the crackdown in New York City of Trent Day Aragua members?
Yeah, Dick Durbin.
That's a classic example of how collaboration between ICE and state and local law enforcement.
Yeah, but they'll elect another Democrat. So.
Sanctuary cities. Sanctuary cities are for criminals.
Chicago pretty much runs that poor state.
For, writing that exact order to get us in the right to the island. I think we'll win that case. I hope the judge who's going to hear that case saw the press conference yesterday and see the results of collaboration. Cops should be working with cops. I never asked New York City NYPD to be an immigration officer. I asked them to help us be cops working with cops to remove public safety threats and national security threats and terrorists from the streets of New York and from Rikers Island when they're done with their sentences. Exactly what we proved yesterday.
Mr. Homan, are you tracking our CF case? What is the response to the judge accusing the administration of bad faith and political lobbying?
Bad faith. We removed an MS-13 gang member, public safety threat, wife beater, designated terrorist in the United States. He's home. He's a citizen of El Salvador, a native El Salvador, who had due process, despite what you heard, in order to be by two separate immigration judges. The best that could happen for him if he actually get back to the United States, he would be detained and removed again, because he has a hold of deportation. People don't talk about the withholding order. They keep saying it was a mistake or oversight. Was issued years ago under different circumstances. The gang he was afraid would attack him no longer exists. The country of El Salvador is a much safer country because of the actions of President Bukele. I don't think any court can order another nation, a sovereign nation, to take a citizen now from their country and their custody and bring back to us. Again, I'm not an attorney. I'll let DOJ argue this in court. But I think we remove the public safety threat, gang member, designated terrorists from the United States who've been ordered deported twice by a federal judge. I think I got plenty of process. You got more due process than Lake Atlantic got.
The administration, the Supreme Court rather says the administration must facilitate.
Okay.
Will the administration facilitate?
I'm not. I'll leave out the Department of Justice and the State Department. I think I stand by. We did the right thing for safety and security of this country. We removed the terrorists. Just like the two plane loads are, all of a sudden everybody's going to be violating court order. These are two plane loads of terrorists that want international orders. Again, I'm not litigating the case. I'm not an attorney. I'll let DOJ handle it. But again, I think we're keeping President Trump's promise to American people who voted him in the office on number one issue: secure the border and remove public safety, trust, and national security threats. That's what we keep doing. I find it incredible that there's all this push for more and more and more due process, more process for these designated terrorists.
Once again, a female in combat that shouldn't have been in combat.
No one asked for vetting them across the border. Where was all the media? Where were a lot of you all folks when 10.5 million people came to the border and you're silent? Where were a lot of these folks when you had 600% increase in sex trafficking and women and children? Where was everybody when we had 250,000 Americans dying from fentanyl that come that open border? Where's all the anger there? Where was all the press then? But now, they enter the country legally against legal process, and now they demand legal process. Yep. It's just ridiculous how this has come full circle. I think President Trump's doing the right thing. This country's much safer today. I looked at the numbers today. We're about 68,000 illegal aliens arrested in the interior United States. A hell of a lot more than Biden administration ever thought of doing. And a vast majority being criminal alien threats. This country's a lot safer. New York City's a lot safer today because of the operations we did up there. Arresting public safety threats and national security threats. Every time we arrest one of these people and remove them, the country gets that much safer. President Trump secured the border in a matter of 7 weeks. Today, as I'm talking to you, we have the most secure border in the history of this nation. Data proves it. He did in 7 weeks what Biden administration couldn't or wouldn't do in 4 years. This president is keeping his promise to American people. I'm happy. I walk in here every day working for the greatest president of my lifetime because I spent over 40 years doing immigration enforcement and border security. We've never been where we're at right now. The most secure border in the history of this nation right now. Lives are being saved every day. Migrant life under Joe Biden. Over 4,000 illegal aliens died making this journey to the United States.
I give her props for serving and, whatever reason, her helicopter took a missile or whatever, but wouldn't have happened if she wasn't there. So. I don't believe that females should be in combat areas. It's just my personal belief.
So that means they're going to a place where there's not a war. And what's waiting on them? The men and women of the border who can continue their focus in a humanitarian crisis. We'll save lives. To secure the border, save lives. President Trump saving thousands of lives every day.
But she sure milks the hell out of that.
Despite what the report says, maybe we got to hold off on some of the deportation operations we're doing, but it's not going to stop us from seeking these people out, arresting them, and taking them off the streets to the United States while we're waiting for the courts to decide, about the alien enemies act and other things. We're going to keep doing what we're doing. We're going to arrest these public safety threats every single day, 24/7 across this country. That will not stop.
All right, so shout out to Tom Hogan for the message that deportations will continue until but we would like a little bit more solid messaging out of the White House. Obviously, it's not Tom Hogan's purview, so it's not his fight to make. But Pam Bondi or bring back Stephen Miller or somebody to come out and explain very clearly the judge's order of withholding to El Salvador. Even if you say you want to give them the benefit of the doubt, it's debatable. You can look at it. It says Guatemala in the document. So unless they show us something else, we're not giving them an inch on this one. And they can point that right back to Kilmar's team. And his whole family's down there in Guatemala. So he's in El Salvador, not Guatemala. Correct the record on that. Or if you don't like that argument, there's a backup argument. Just say that the order of withholding came from an Article 2 immigration judge and was overridden by operation of law under the Alien Enemies Act. It is non-reviewable. And Kilmar, they didn't even file a habeas petition until he was already afforded out of the country. So what are they claiming that gives them a lawful basis to continue this charade? Who the hell knows? But the Supreme Court hopefully comes in and clarifies this at some point, we'll be here continuing to cover until they do. All right, but Tom Homan, as we mentioned, is just warming up. So we heard a couple good numbers from him. Numbers sound a little bit low, but we're looking forward to the pace getting picked up over here, starting with these indictments and arrests. 27 gangbangers now arrested or indicted, but some of them are still at large, and so they are still being sought. But the Immigration and Customs Enforcement ex-account shared this with us, some of the worst of the worst crimes. And this is an interesting one.
No worries.
It's a RICO case, a conspiracy case involving a lot of different people, and it's all being filed in the southern district.
Get a chance, hop over to Rumble just to give it a minute view and a like. Maybe drop something in the chat.
Racketeering, narcotics,
need the watch hours over there.
And other things. They release a whole this there's a lot happening here. So Pam Bondi DOJ. This one is interesting because it's coming out of the Southern District of New York, which has been a pretty problematic jurisdiction. Some might argue they wanted the illegal problem there, calling themselves a sanctuary city for however long until Mayor Adams got indicted when he started to speak out against it. But now we've got 27 people charged, but some are still at large.
I think we just got in the upper 70s.
It says acting U.S. Attorney Kristi Noem and all the people have now brought an indictment. 27 alleged members, former members of Tren de Aragua, for all sorts of the most heinous crimes. Pam Bondi said something. A bunch of New York people have come out and said other things. But let's just take a look at the documents and the indictments that have been released. This one came out against these 6 people: Jarwin, Samuel, Efferson, Brian, Sandro, and Armando. 6, if I can count right, all being charged in a new indictment. You can see several counts here, and this one is about the Tren de Aragua enterprise. So we've got some nicknames here. Biblia is joined up here. Bronx, Queens, internationally, Venezuela and Peru. They do all sorts of the heinous things: trafficking of people, assault, elimination of human life, smuggling people, drugs, and more. Tren de Aragua is a criminal enterprise, and all these people were associates of the enterprise. Now, the purpose of this enterprise is to commit crimes. The elimination, robbery, all the things. And they are actually part of a splinter organization called the Anti-Tren. This is like Antifa kind of thing. Anti-Tren. So they're enriching members of the group through all these things. They're smuggling stuff into Peru and the United States, controlled substances, including 2C. 2C. See that word right there? That's not a good sounding word, but it contains ketamine in there and other controlled substances. So they promote the activities and interstate commerce, means methods.
Oh shit, I didn't switch it over to fucking... I'm doing it on my user account by accident. Don't worry about it.
Venezuela into Peru.
No worries.
The United States
I fucked it up.
Debts that the Mojadas would pay back to the gang for engaging in this work. Members of Tren enforce compliance among the Mojadas by threatening to eliminate them, assaulting them, actually eliminating them, tracking down them, kidnapping them, and more.
Yeah, I fucked it up when I set it up. I forgot. Why it automatically goes to that on the browser, but on the mobile, I got to remember to switch it.
Ketamine hearing conspiracy is as follows: they all agreed and conspired and worked together to impact their criminal activity on the issue of life. Multiple acts, multiple conspiracy. So you get these here, this account. This is not that juicy from the Jack Smith indictment, where they put pictures in there and all the juicy bits, right? A sweeping indictment. Where you're trying to make crimes are the elements of the offense, which is what we've got here, which is the proper way to do it. Ama is this dude's name. And F.A. Trayball, they're carjacking people all over the place. They have done this, part of the conspiracy, they say multiple times, and there were overt acts of this, where they brandished pointed guns at an employees of a car dealership and then took possession of the car. That happened sometime in 2024. Another carjacking count. Count 5, robbery. Count 6, firearms, possession and use. Hobbs Act, extortion. We've got other criminal firearms possessions and a lot. Okay, so this just goes on and on. Don't need to read them all, but you can see 27 of them got indicted. There was a companion indictment that came down, also signed by Podesky, explaining that there are more charges. So a superseding indictment. So the list is now expanded. All these people are getting charged. And this is curious because the question is, how is this going to impact the other Alien Enemies Act proclamations that have already been issued? Are these going to be used as evidence, right, that they're committing terroristic conspiracy acts in the country? Or by contrast, maybe they'll turn around and say, well, you didn't charge them with anything terror-related, and so you can't.
I wonder if I could switch it
under the Alien
in the back office. Let me try to do something
specifically. But the terrorism case law is broad because we've been living in the war on terror since 9/11.
Yeah, so it's bumpy through there. Plus, I need to tighten my thing that holds it.
There are still people apparently who are on the list. So the New York Post was reporting about this. I thought I saw a twin set of indictments came out. Tren de Aragua is a big gang. They had a whole press conference on this. Most of them are in custody. 3 arrested in New York as recently as Monday, but some are still at large. 4 suspects still at large. 33 guns were seized. 1 engraved with a "You're effed," which is very similar to the Philip Brailsford case in Arizona. The Racketeer Act was charging indictments against all these people. Here's one person. Jarwin Valdero was arrested. The gang members were listed, all from the Bronx and various areas in New York, and they had a full press conference. Look at those guns, baby. Some nice stuff on there. Very cool. So here is what they said at the press briefing. We got this one.
And many more stuff.
Tom Homan was out, but we'll fast forward. We'll listen to a little bit of Mayor Eric Adams and see what he said about this.
Administration, I want to be clear on my mission. My mission is to rid every one of these dangerous gangs from our city. I'm unapologetic about it. That mission was pre-election. It's the same post-election. And every law enforcement agency on the city, state, and federal level is part of that partnership. And when you start to
Not yet.
law enforcement agencies doing their jobs, you're insulting the men and women who have placed their lives on the front line to address the issue. The question that we must answer: whose side are you on?
Yeah,
I like Tampa.
The side of those who are carrying these illegal
I like Tampa.
We can have it. Sex trafficking,
Senator Van Hollen,
harming innocent people, regardless of their documentation. Or you're on the side of hard-working New Yorkers and Americans. I'm clear on which side I'm on. Yeah. I'm on the side of those who are protected as a cop, as a senator, or a president, and now the mayor of the city of New York. That's the side I'm on, and I'm clear on it. I'm not apologizing for going after those who carry these illegal guns, wreaking havoc on communities. So those who want to romanticize these characters and make it seem like they are here just to be part of the American dream. The American dream is not doing armed robberies. The American dream is not discharging guns. The American dream is not shooting at police officers. The American dream is not going into homeless shelters and taking the documentations from innocent people and forcing them into sex trafficking. That's not the American dream. And we're not going to be a safe harbor for criminals. That's who this group is. And hats off to the entire team. Hats off to Homeland Security.
Okay. So Mayor Adams, man, that is a whole different tune than we used to hear from him, isn't it? Very strange. And I don't know, maybe he'll rise to the Republican Party and join in on
I see. Switch over that. Let's see if it'll let me update it while it's still live.
Right. This question should be asked of the Democrats. Why do they continue to fight and support the gang of terrorists in our country? Why do they want to help America and our law enforcement get these people out of our country without trying to shackle our own people?
Ain't no mercy. Oh, we're doing good.
Update on the day, my friends, and then we'll hear from you. This was California made the shocking decision to release this dude, seen here on the left, who's responsible for the death of these two people on the right. Sick story and a tragedy and crime to the max. But what's going on in California? And is this dude going to walk free? Turns out the DOJ, the feds, have said we're not going to let the state get away with this. They're going to turn around and indict him. We'll share what they've said about this. But the story was broken by Bill Malugin. He's over with Fox News. He says the families of two teens killed by an illegal alien who crashed into them while drunk, high, and speeding at 100 miles per hour in Orange County, California in 2021 have been told by the state of California that their killer will be released from prison early in July. Imagine that. Mom, dad, family, dude who killed your kids, and you're going to be out soon. Just 3.5 years into a 10-year sentence for killing the teens who both burned alive. Just in case you missed that. Someone should tell Senator Van Hollen maybe he can go have some mojitos with this dude. Oscar Eduardo Ortega and Guiano, a twice-deported Mexican illegal alien, had a lengthy rap sheet prior to killing 19-year-olds Anya Varlamov and Nikolai Osakin in a DUI crash on the 405 freeway in Seal Beach in November.
Looks like it's working now.
Nice date there.
I was able to manually switch it.
And they were dating.
See if it's live now.
Ortega and Giuliano had several felony convictions already in the
Rumble.
country, had already gone to state prison, had multiple convictions for driving without a license, and was still on the streets in California having a grand old time when he crashed into the teen's vehicle. In the spring of 2022, Ortega was convicted in Orange County of 2 counts of gross vehicular manslaughter while intoxicated for the killing of the teens. A judge sentenced him to serve 10 years in prison for each count, but ran them concurrently. Okay, so not 10 plus 10, that would be consecutive. Concurrent running them together. He would serve both 10 years and sentences at the same time, which is, that's a pretty light sentence. Killing 2 19-year-olds, you get 10 years from that.
Holy shit.
10 years, you just took 2 lives away.
Looks like we got a
150 years
little incident going on up here.
The victim's
That's right where I need to exit, though. Fuck.
It was already a weak sentence. But they tell me they were notified by the California Department of Corrections on Easter Sunday. Okay.
Lots of cherries and berries up ahead.
I had to tell you, I didn't catch that. My original thought on this whole thing is this is humiliation, right? It's a humiliation ritual. This is what they want to do. They want to say there's no justice. These criminals can break into your country, commit all the crimes in the world, kill your kids, and we're going to let them out. So just suck it up, right? And it's a humiliation ritual. For them to do it on Easter Sunday is that much worse. It's what it is. To be ultra clear, there's been evil forces at play to do that to a family on Easter Sunday. Only a little more than 3 years into a sentence.
It looks like it's just about cleaned up.
And outraged, given the seriousness.
Got tow truck drivers joking around, picking up parts.
And by the way, right, if you've got prior felonies,
damn, someone got smoked on the rear end there.
Another category of offense. So you'll hear the terms like in Arizona, it's Category 1, Category 3, and when it comes to felonies,
hey BNN, what's up, buddy?
Class 1 through 6 felonies.
Thank you.
1's the most serious for murder, 6 is the least before it drops to misdemeanor. And then you have
there's another one up here.
So let's say you got charged with a Class 3, and it's your first offense. You're in the first column, right there. But what if you got prior felonies? Oh, you're a repeat offender. Oh, you got 2 priors. Oh, you're Category 3. So now that same Class 3 moves over 2 columns in the chart, and you get much worse penalties. Like if you're a repeat felon, totally a huge problem. So the fact that this guy had a repeat felony.
It's good to know that I can switch it over while it's live to a different channel.
Killed 2 people and got 10 years is humiliation in and of itself, which is why if you're in California, it's probably a good idea to think about what it means. But in this situation, the judge then authorizes the early release, so the death of 2 teens is cut to 3.5 years. The victim's family felt it was horrific. Only little more than 3 years, leaving the family shocked and outraged. They provided us with the CDCR document showing they're going to release this dude on the 19th. Now, the California Department of Corrections will confirm the release date, saying we cannot provide information on incarcerated persons' release dates or locations in advance of their release. But we just want to know who called the grieving family on Easter Sunday and said they're going to release their family's killer. They added that incarcerated persons may earn credits for participation in rehabilitative programming, which may move the parole-eligible date to an earlier date. So he may get out earlier. Might not even be 3.5. ICE confirms to Fox News they have placed a detainer on Ann Giuliano with the California Department of Corrections, and they intend to take him into custody upon release. But maybe California won't give it to him. California hopes, or the ICE hopes that California will honor the detainer request and transfer him to their custody, which they often do. But maybe not. Maybe they'll just let him go. But the families fear, even if he is deported, he's just going to re-enter the U.S. as a godaway, as he's done twice before. It's sick. It's sick to think about. He kills these two beautiful young people and then gets out after 3.5 years running free over them to the rest of their lives. And he can just run away and run free. That's their version of justice in America, which is humiliating to people who live there. So obviously, it's outrageous. The attorney in California, U.S. Attorney S.A. Lee, says, my office has filed felony immigration charges against this defendant. He faces up to 20 years in prison if he's convicted under 8 U.S.
Travel videos, go to travel videos. Yeah, I came across.
California will not seek the full measure of justice against this person. The Department of Justice.
I'm not going to be able to see it on the screen here because this.
Okay, we got 2 American teenagers.
The mobile is set to the other, but I can see it actually on
the illegal alien.
On my other phone.
If you're driving around drunk over 100, that's like murder. Okay, it's so reckless. It's not like, oops, it's an accident. You had too many drink. Your tire blew out and you accidentally killed somebody. You're driving like a reckless lunatic. You know there are no consequences. You might as well be shooting a gun at somebody's face if you're driving around smashed at 100 miles an hour. And I say that as a DUI attorney, right? California is really
nice. That actually sounds good.
A 10-year sentence. This is a disgrace. Under POTUS and Pam Bondi, we believe justice means consequences, and victims always come first. Coming out from Todd Blanche. So good update there. And even Caroline Levitt was explaining, flipped over via Gunther Eagle for us, explaining Caroline is saying we are going to continue our prosecutions of the criminals in America.
Well, first of all, listening to the heartache from those 2 parents is truly heartbreaking, and our hearts are with them. And not only are we praying for them, but this administration is taking action. The Department of Homeland Security and ICE have already said that a detainer has been put on this individual if he is to be released, and he will immediately be transferred into ICE custody, we hope, if the state of California complies. And if not,
good luck with that, man.
Justice will be seeking a conviction against this man where he will spend time in federal prison for taking the lives of those 2 young Americans. So these results speak for themselves. President Trump is not going to tolerate illegal immigrant crime. And this individual case represents everything that is wrong with our immigration system. This individual was twice deported, but was allowed back into our country by the previous administration, took the lives of 2 young Americans, and is now barely facing any consequences. We will not tolerate it. We will not stand for that. And we will continue to enforce our nation's immigration laws and ensure that illegal immigrants who not only break our nation's immigration laws, but then further commit heinous acts.
I'm not actually leaving.
Law-abiding American citizens in our country are held to the fullest extent of the law.
All right, so that's Caroline Levitt explaining what is happening, and the prosecutions will continue because these judges, for some reason, think it's appropriate to allow murdering illegal aliens out after 3.5 years. And they
well, that's fucked up.
We'll see if they hand that dude off to ICE. It's California. But, all right, my friends, now, it has been a beautiful stream. If you're just joining us, we went through the entire latest update and we're watching how the judge was not cleared in the country for withholding, and how the judge actually, in his order, reference Guatemala. Now, there's going to be a bunch of people out there saying, well, that's a typo, that's a mistake, that's something that was corrected later. Show us that. Just show us that. Show us where the judge corrected it. Judge can correct other things. He corrected this little date up here. So show us where the correction is, where the addendum is. We don't see it anywhere, and no one has shown it up to this moment. So they want us to all just sit here and believe that we should just substitute El Salvador for Guatemala because he references El Salvador elsewhere in here. He also references Guatemala, and the families living in Guatemala, and the connection was all about connection to Mama. The whole family was certified as a protected class, and Mama is in Guatemala. Mama is not in El Salvador. So if he's a member of that protected group, Guatemala was the right thing to put in here legally. It legally flows. So everyone else who's saying, well, it's a typo or something, the burden is on them. This is the judge. The judge wrote this down right here in the order. So unless they show us something differently, this is the rule of order. That's how we see it. So, of course, we talked about that, and I can't wait to see where that goes. Hopefully the administration adopts that. Also, it's not just me saying that. It's this person over here, Andrew R. Arthur, and other people. I saw Tim Pool reposted our X post today, so thank you, Tim,
about
for
that.
And apparently Tim also caught this a while ago. Tim Pool said that they talked about this on Timcast IRL like 3 weeks ago. So check out their show. Just talk about what they talked about 3 weeks ago. So anyways, so shout out to Tim Pool on that one, but there's a lot on this. I think that the poison pill angle is valid, and I hope that DOJ starts to get their act together on this case. With all due respect to Drew Ensign, I know he's working his butt off, but they've got hundreds of lawsuits that they're fighting against, and this case is a disaster. So hopefully we get some attention on that one. We went through a bunch of reaction to that. Also saw that there were some sealed filings, so maybe we'll get some more updates as the week unfolds. We also then talked about the Tren de Aragua, 27 members and associates who were also charged today, or yesterday rather. There was a little bit of a press conference. Mayor Adams is starting to sound like MAGA Adams, and welcome aboard. Nice to have you. We then talked about what happened in California with this illegal who's being released early, and the DOJ is saying that they're going to prosecute him regardless of immigration crimes. And so now, my friends, it's time to hear from you, and it has been a beautiful stream. And we're very glad that you're here and joining us. Thank you for subscribing if you haven't already done that. And thanks for becoming a member and joining us on our members only streams, which come on 6 days a week, including on Saturdays. We'd love to have you join us. Hey, what's going on? We got some donos coming in and some new membos coming in. Thank you, Donut, for clipping for us. I think I saw the John action, KB in action was from this morning.
Trying to get this to switch,
hey,
turn on a banner.
We were talking about trades this morning on the members only stream. Don't, sorry I missed this morning. It said the average age of a master plumber is 60. Yeah, we were talking about the student loans and the collections and all of that. And the question, of course, is if they're going to give, blue-haired freakazoids like 300 grand to go study transgender international ideology and universal acceptance or whatever, why are we not giving loans to students who are going to learn a trade?
I gotta do it again. Sorry.
Maybe we are plumbing or
fucking thing.
Electrical work or construction, entrepreneurship, all sorts of things. What's up, Dylan? Great question. Hey, happy Wednesday. Look at this nice kitty. Hey, what's going on? Rub some dirt on it. Rub some dirt on it is also nicknamed Whirlpool, or the Whirlpool Galaxy, because he's a real astrophotographer, like the real deal. He shared some stuff with us.
All right, hopefully it's working now.
He says, hey, Blood Moon, imagine what you'd be showing us today if, while watching the skies last night, you were running your Sea-Star telescope in wide field mode. Like this, Blood Moon. So Blood Moon yesterday and the after party.
That's the idea. I'm excited to see if this Sheets is open yet. Because if it is, I'll grab something there.
That's why I took that Blood Moon photo, which is why my new nickname is now Blood Moon. Thank you for attention to this matter. However, he sent in a comment yesterday that was savage, man. He said, hey, Rob, wondering if you're ever going to take your Sea-Star Galaxy telescope off of the treadmill that you never use, where you hang your jiu-jitsu gi that you also never use, and actually point it at the sky and do something useful for once in your life. I know, it was brutal. So I had to, find a therapist last night. Someone help me process this violent attack. But it's a beautiful picture. Whirlpool, thanks for sharing it with us. Man, look at that. Oh, I literally, though, I did see a shooting star last night. I'm not joking. I woke up in a spa last night. Oh, and I made a wish. Not for world peace either. Hey, more here. What's up, more here? Bringing in 10 members. What's up, more here? Swamp Sega City. What's up, Honk Honk is here. Atlas Shrug is joining us. Great to see you. Who is John Paul? No Set Direction. What's up, Kate Karen? What's up, Waffle Army? Infinity Project is here. We got Front to Enemy and C. Patton McGinley, along with Robin Rickman, all gifted members, courtesy of More Here, bringing in More Here. Thanks for doing that. What's going on? Look at this cat. Greer is here. What's up, Harold Greer? Thank you, Harold, for bringing in 5 new members as well. We got Pamela Hernandez is here. What's up, Ben Rosiu, Robin Schaefer, KB, and Keith Schonk, all gifted members, courtesy of Harold Greer and that handsome cat. Thank you, Harold. What's going on, Bezzy? Hey, Rob, as a lawyer, is this not stuff?
Hey, Bill.
DOJ's part? I mean, if anybody had access to the
he just told us, man. He just had some Subway.
Honestly, I feel like it was sloppy of me. And we're just a live streamer. Yeah, we're just live streaming here. We read the documents at like 3x speed while we're looking at multiple screens, right? So it's like we got a lot to process, and those are all my excuses as to why we missed that, but we still shouldn't have missed that. It should have been obvious from the beginning. And I don't know. I mean, the obvious explanation as to why the DOJ is not hitting this harder is because they have some documents that show opposite of what I have saying here. We haven't seen them. And if the Kilmar team has it, why would they publish those? And the whole thing was,
that was for lunch.
Was absolutely like Muvani, who's fired. So it was sloppy. Yeah, it was very sloppy. I think I'm pretty upset about this case in terms of performance from the DOJ. Just to be clear, like that Muvani stuff should have been repudiated immediately. It should have filed as that attorney was fired, repudiated. That's not the case. They should have doubled down on the original argument, which was the Indian, which is valid, and even Stephen Miller came out and made that argument. He started talking about it, but it's like Stephen Miller's arguments aren't making its way over to the DOJ. Like, what the hell is that? Is anybody listening to Stephen Miller over there?
Yeah, I still got about 20 minutes left.
Talking points should also go to Tom Holman. They should all be in sync on this stuff. And again, even if it turns out that there are other documents, and I doubt that there are, that show El Salvador specifically, if they existed, we would have seen them already, just to be clear. If that existed, they would have given it to us. I don't think it does. I think he meant Guatemala. But they poisoned it, and then the judges accepted
this sandwich sounds
good. Filed in Maryland, totally unrelated to this case. Yeah. So, anyways, thank you, BZ. What's going on? John McGarvey. Hey, have you noticed that when opening YouTube, it automatically starts playing shorts now? I have noticed that. Yeah, this seems to be very predatory practice, counter long-form content. Yeah, they're pushing people to the shorts. We're publishing our shorts because we got to play the game. Got to be on there. It's like mandatory. If you want to grow your channel, you got to start publishing short stuff. But yeah, it's the thing, and they're pushing it, man. They're pushing it hard. Long-form content. But the good news is, okay, if you're out there creating stuff, what we do is we actually just link the shorts back to our main videos. So if you catch a short, you can search back and watch the whole screen. Zombie Plan, what's up? I don't think the Guatemala doc says that. Just above the conclusion, it talks about El Salvador. That's fine. I think he was trying to get withholding from El Salvador and Guatemala, but the judge denied the Guatemala holding. I don't know how you can read that. I mean, respectfully, Zombie Plan. Yeah, that's right. He did talk about it. Like he mentions it. It's right there, El Salvador. Right here, the respondent has not shown that it is more likely than not that he would be tortured if he were removed to El Salvador. Okay, so again, to finish my prior point, let's say this. Let's say that there is another document, okay, that says, oh, the judge says Guatemala and El Salvador, right? I don't think that there is. if there was Guatemala and El Salvador, he could cross this out just like he did up above and go El Salvador or amended this down here. He didn't do it. And just based on this, you could make the argument that this is the holding. That is the dispositive conclusion here. That's what governs the document. So even Ruvani shouldn't have made the admission that it was an administrative error. That was a negligent argument to make for a DOJ attorney. He should have said, even if he doesn't believe it fully, or there's other evidence, or even if it's questionable, he could have just said, the judge wrote Guatemala, so I'm following Guatemala. That's why we removed him to El Salvador. You could have made that argument. Even if this was an error, like you capitalize on the error, you don't come out, no lawyer comes out and says, we admit to making a mistake. Because that's not how the law works. This is an obvious mistake. You have to fall on the sword. That almost never happens. You always come out and say, no, there was a clear alternative explanation for this. The judge wrote Guatemala in the concluding paragraph in his order, and he talked about Guatemala, talked about them moving. Mama is in Guatemala, and Mama is the protected class of which Kilmar belongs. And if Mama's in Guatemala, then he's got to go to Guatemala, right? Because that's the class. He can't go to El Salvador if Mom's in Guatemala.
Unless he's going to prison.
But I appreciate the thought. How could he deny Guatemala if he wrote that in the concluding paragraph? Hey, Don't says, better to ask forgiveness than permission from MA5. Don't says, hey, happy Papusa Wednesday. It's Papusa Tuesday on Wednesday. I have a lot of papusas this week. Spudman says, the third AG reference to Guatemala. Respondents' two sisters and parents are in Guatemala. Right. And the judge went through a whole section of analysis that explains that Kilmar is not part of MS-13.
Choked in my drink.
He's not part of the bucket. He's not part of the friends and family of Jennifer Vasquez, U.S. citizen bucket. He's part of the family bucket. He wrote the whole paragraph in there. The family bucket is in Guatemala. Abacus Finch says, did you hear about the New Mexico judge who resigned when a bunch of gangbangers were arrested on his property? Yeah, I think somebody was like in his casita. What were they doing in there? Making pupusas with each other? Gross. Abacus Flinch, thanks for that comment. We didn't see that. Maybe we'll do a segment on that one. Hey, Fred Petamonte says, he's being threatened by a rival gang. Hello?
Ooh, looks like they're close. I don't think they're open yet, though.
No. Alice Elizabeth
looking
says,
close.
Yeah, you said that there were no Democrats here. I was a Democrat my whole life. A Bernie Democrat. Yeah, I was, right? That's the thing. Well, we're glad to have you, Alice Elizabeth. We're all, I think the country's going through they call it a political realignment. And I think people are kind of shedding the old labels. The Democratic Party used to not be as nuts. I will admit that. Like when Dennis Kucinich was out there, he was like fighting for free speech and against the Patriot Act and stuff like that, right? Like I remember that, and I was a younger man, so I was just like a Republican because like that was the team that I was on. Like, Dennis Kucinich is a crazy people. But you look back, you're like, oh, that's actually a lot of that was accurate. Free speech is important, and the Patriot Act is ridiculous, and so there's some of that. But then the whole party just shifted away from that. It's like super anti-war, which you can get on board with. But then they shifted. Now they're pro-war, pro-censorship, pro-illegal invasion. Don't like the American working class at all. Like the whole party's gone nuts. No, says Kilmar's knuckle tats. Don't say papusa on here. No, I don't think so. Maybe that's what they're trying to make it say, but I think it says MS-13, not papusa. What's up, thank you. Spudman, hey, for the AG, the cover sheet is a list of checkboxes, and they only selected the last one, called Other. From Spudman. Thank you, Spudman. Hey, Gary Sukimura. Welcome aboard, Gary Sukimura. Great to have you. Welcome aboard. Tree Climber, what's up in the house? Great to have you. Bringing on Tim Robeson. What's up, Tim Robeson? Jeff Iverson. Great to see you, Jeff. We got new members coming in. Grab the member stream from this morning, and we'll see you back here tomorrow. Real Crump says, what about the appeals court or SCOTUS? What do they do about this Judge Zenas outright
I hope you feel better, bud.
Process and misrepresenting SCOTUS order from Good Friday? Yeah, that's the problem, right? Is the Supreme Court then came and rubber stamped an erroneous record, and they had no choice. Like, this whole case is totally messed up because the judge, remember, Judge Stevens ordered a midnight return of Kilmore or else. So Roberts and them, they had to come in and issue an order on a non-fully briefed case. Ridiculous. Thank you, Will. What's up? V. Moran says, hey, welcome aboard. V. Moran just became a member. Great to see you. Wojo says, what did the judge say when Letitia James took her shoes off in court? Odor in the court. That's a great joke, Wojo. Odor in the court. Like order in the court, right? It's Tish. Gavel out, right? Your case is adjourned. Hey, Mikhail Heim says, I think the mention of Guatemala in the Article 2 document for Garcia is about a Guatemalan gang operating in El Salvador, and the judge is just misunderstanding or something. Well, I don't know what to tell about that. I mean, the judge wrote it down. Like, we have to follow what the judge wrote. So if this was a mistake, the judge should correct it. And again, to my other point, if this judge is so upset about this, where's his order? Why isn't he hauling Trump into court? Why isn't he screaming, I want an order to show?
No,
how dare you?
they don't have shit, man.
Why is Judge?
I might check out one place after I swap this out.
The ones who are
yeah, not really.
And not this judge. Like, where's Judge David Jones?
It's like a little burger bar.
They're violating your order, Judge.
We'll see.
He's like, no, they're not.
If they're even open.
So upset about it. I said Guatemala. The dude's in El Salvador. Everything's fine. So I don't know what he's misunderstanding. Hey, what's up? Konoha Jeremy. Welcome, Konoha. Thanks for becoming a supporter. We'll see you tomorrow on the members only stream. What's up? Doan says Tusi, aka pink cocaine. Yeah, and a little bit more, it sounds like. A little meth in there. A little marijuana in there. I don't know. Maybe that's what Van Hollen was on. Hey, BJ says, BG, let the snitching begin. Oh, yeah. Like the Kool-Aid guy. Good to see you, BG. Thanks for the dono. Hey, Mikhail says, Mikhail Heim, I'm the left keeps screaming about due process because they want these aliens prosecuted and to serve time for their crimes in the U.S. first. Yeah, they're trying to ignore the entire immigration system and just say you have to charge them with a crime before you can remove them, which means they get all the Article 3 protections, all jury trials, all the things. If you have to charge them with a crime before removing them, then you're not going to remove hardly anybody, right? The percentage of removals will be basically zero, which is what they want. We got this one from Chris Finney. What's up, Chris? Thank you for sending this one in, Chris. Great to have you a supporter. Welcome aboard. We got Dome. It says, constitutionally regarded Dems want to strip us of our legal firearms, but then insist on cutting illegals and their hot irons loose on society. True. E.g. says, when is 8 U.S. Code 1324 charge versus Mayorkas dropping, which is, thank you, Donut, for flipping this one, bringing in and harboring certain aliens. Yeah, and we got to ask Pam Bondi on that one. We got a nice list for Pam. Has anybody started a list for her? We should start another one. Put it in a book. What's up, one old guy? Criminals, repeat IAs are charged with 1326, not 1325, always, which is re-entry by removed. Doan says, California leads in the anti-Second Amendment vigilante chaos agenda. Well, they're doing a good job of that there, murdering illegals. Number one deplorable says, corner of his family is in Guatemala illegally.
Kind of smells like it, too.
Wait, how do we know Mama is in Guatemala? Well, it was in the reading here. Let's take a look at that sentence. Where was it? Just to confirm it. Yeah.
It's like they already had some here. Road's wet.
And the sisters turn next to withholding. Where was that? Yeah, the parents are in Guatemala, right there. At present, even though the family has now shut down the pupusa business, Barrio 18 continues to harass and threaten the two sisters and parents in Guatemala. That's where Mama is. Additionally, they have targeted a brother-in-law who now lives with the family, also in Guatemala. And so if Mama is in Guatemala, and if you go down here, and the judge does his analysis on a family-based social group, you see that? He's a part of a family-based social group, and he's his mother's son. He's with Cecilia, who ran the pupusa business. So his nuclear family is cognizable. So he has to go back to the group of which he's protected. You can't go back there. That group is protected. You can't go back there. They're in Guatemala. This is why he's protected. If he's not a part of the family social group, then he doesn't get
I think he's talking about the court stuff.
Family's in Guatemala. So he can't go back to Guatemala.
Yeah, a lot of talk, not enough happening.
Amazing. BG.
We need some prosecutions to happen too.
So it ain't no typo or clerical error. Yeah, where's the correction?
At least that's my thought. I thought that's what he meant.
Why didn't they just squiggle that out?
Yeah, that's what I figured you said.
El Salvador. Man, and I honestly think like these attorneys who filed that, saying that there was a withholding, they better have some documents to back that up, because they submitted that to the Fourth Circuit and Judge Zenas. And from what we've seen, there's nothing in there that says El Salvador concretely. We just went through it. I mean, here's their document that they submitted to the Fifth Circuit, or the Fourth Circuit rather. Fourth Circuit, it's all in here. And it's the same order that we just read. And they've got their affidavits, they've got a bunch of other stuff. So have they even submitted to the courts a clear order of withholding of removal to El Salvador? No, all they're doing is they're just adopting the poison pill. They say, we have nothing to say on the merits. We concede he should not have been removed to El Salvador. On what basis? That attorney was fired who made those statements. Fired. Because it's inaccurate, right? It was not accurate. Milo Phone Bill says, the New Mexico judge resigns. TDA and his casita. Are the Supremes going to talk about this case? Well, I don't think it's a real case yet, right? He just resigned. Has he been charged with anything? Or... I don't think so. It's just a very scandalous story because he was making pupusas with gangbangers. I don't know why. B. Cal says, oops, I came an hour late. I stand corrected about whether the judge meant Guatemala in the order. I didn't know that's where Mama lives. Yep. Right? Mama's there. And he's part of the Mama group. Sharpie Guy says, hey, everyone, subscribe and help Rob out. Thank you, Sharpie Guy, for doing that. Please, please. One old guy, clerical error is on Kilmar's appointed attorney. That dude is full of errors. Yeah, BG says, tunk clerical error on my part. Tunk clerical error from BG. Mikhail says, send the drunk driving illegal to Fanny's jail. See, yeah, they don't care about due process down there. Judge Wilkerson.
For sure, Bill. I agree with you, bud.
We're not complaining about Fannyland where people are getting eaten by bed bugs.
I've got friends that
dying. Some feds to make sure he isn't let out.
We're released, finally,
take him off our hands.
After some bullshit. He never even got arraigned until they were in there for almost a year. Locked up for almost a year without an arraignment.
What's up, Senorita 978? Thank you for the dono and for being an amazing member here. What's up, Don says, is the DOJ letting Zenas and hacks eliminate themselves here? I don't know. I think that the DOJ has been dropping the ball on this case. I think that this could have been rectified. I mean, they got taken advantage of with the prior poison pill Eraz Ruvini attorney, but they should have come in and corrected that record aggressively at the time. More here says, I use a shorts blocker on YouTube. Well, interesting. I didn't know you could do that. On an app? You can do that on an app? It's a setting. You can just turn them off. Hey, it's Tony Hay Muckets. Thank you, Tony Hay, for bringing in new membos. What's up? Lynn Roberts is here. Another user is here. Jarrell Rogers, welcome. Based Shaman in the house. What's
yeah,
up?
Me too. I hope so. I'm going to go ahead and kill it because it gets pretty bad there. If I have a bad connection, it doesn't let me end it properly. So I'm going to kill it, guys. I'll probably fire up just the Doc Nation YouTube channel on the way back. Oh, I'm going to have to get gas too, apparently.
What's going on? This one from Veronica King. It says, cannot we the people not file a class action?
Car just yelled at me.
Yeah, you can't really, right? There's this concept
so, I'm not going to try and turn the camera around. It's kind of a treacherous road. So, I'll get with you guys later. Look for the Doc Nation if I do decide to fire it up. Later, all.